First, could you just start out by giving us your name and title, please?
Yeah, my name is Jason Smith, and I am the Deputy Fire Chief of Cannon Beach Rural Fire Protection District and head lifeguard of the Cannon Beach Lifeguards.
Thank you. So it sounds like we got some hazardous conditions out there. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Uh, what are beach goers facing if they go out there at this time?
Well, right now we have kind of similar to winter type surf conditions where we have some pretty um, heavy seas in the sense that 6 to 8 feet surf. We've got a pretty steady breeze blowing. We've got really high tides right now. It's supposed to be about a 9.2 foot high tide at about 3 o'clock, a little after 3 o'clock today, which means that the the waves are going to come up very high on the beach, and we're not going to have a lot of beach left. Yesterday, we had about 50 yards of sand that was usable at our highest tide, which makes travel with fire vehicles, lifeguard vehicles, very difficult.
And this caused some surfers to get into some trouble yesterday. Is that right?
Yeah, so we yesterday at about a little after 12 o'clock, we got towed out to uh, 6 victims in the water that were being sucked out in a rip current. And we were able to make it there, deployed 4 lifeguards, 2 jet skis, U.S. Coast Guard helicopter, a bunch of other assets, and we were able to remove all 6 people from the water. When we were returning, the high tide made it very difficult for us to return. Vehicles almost got stuck in the sand. We were having water push up against the wheels of our vehicles. And one thing that we want to remind those people that are coming to our beaches is come enjoy them. But when we are on the beach, we have a job to do. And we did have several people interfere with our mission and our objectives, and actually made it very difficult for us to maneuver our emergency vehicles, not only to incidences, but from. And so we ask that when people do come to visit, that they be respectful of both the lifeguards and the fire apparatus, because especially at high tide, we don't have a lot of beach to work with, and we don't want to end up getting one of our vehicles stuck.
Any idea how far it swept them out before the rescue?
Oh, for the rescue, I would. So when I got there as the first arriving chief officer, I would say we had 50 to 100 yards of distance from the first person, which was just off of the shoreline, to the last person, which was being swept out. So I would say 50 to 100 yards from the edge of the beach, these people were swept out in the rip current. And so we had that whole area to cover with our 4 lifeguards and jet skis.
Was everyone still on a surfboard or?
Actually, no, the 6 people that we went in to rescue had no surfboards. It was 2 children and 4 adults that got swept out. And the 2 children initially got swept out, 4 adults went in after. We thankfully had 3 local surfers that were in the water, and they assisted with the rescue efforts as well.
Okay, and the family, they didn't have any kind of floating device. They were just out there swimming.
Yeah, to my knowledge and what I understood from the brief conversation that we did have after the incident, was the 2 children were playing waist deep, and they were watching them, and all of a sudden they got caught in a rip and started getting pulled out, and the family, the parents or the adults, went in after them as well. And then they got caught in the same rip, and it just started dragging everybody kind of north and then out.
Is this going to continue to be a problem as we head into fall, or is it not really seasonal? Is it just random?
So on Cannon Beach in particular, and the other uh, beaches that we do service. So we cover actually 9 different beaches within our fire district. Cannon Beach being the most popular, Indian Beach being the second most popular. What we would say is rip currents are always present, whether it's 1 foot tall waves or 10-foot tall waves. The rip current is always there. And you can always guarantee there to be a rip current at any fixed object. So in Cannon Beach in particular, there are 3 rip currents that surround Haystack, one to the south, one between the Needles and Haystack, and then one just north of Haystack. There will always be rip currents right there. There will always be a rip current at Chapman Point, which is where our water rescue was yesterday. If beachgoers are going to visit Indian Beach, which is in Ecola Park, there is always a rip current on the north side of that beach, and there's always a rip current on the south side of that beach. Those are always given. We will always have a rip current there, no matter how big or how small the swell is. Where it changes is we have a very sandy beach. All of our beaches have a lot of sand, and so those rip currents can pop up at different locations within that beach area. Essentially, rip current is a river going out to sea. It's where the energy of the waves meets land and then has to find some way back out. And so it's essentially a river that leads out to sea.
And do you attempt to, keep lifeguards near those rip currents as much as possible?
Yeah, so lifeguards are only a seasonal entity currently, and so we only have lifeguards on from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So technically, we are just finishing up lifeguard season. However, the Cannon Beach Fire District has gone into a partnership with the city of Cannon Beach, and we are working on trying to extend lifeguard coverage longer this year, just due to the fact that we've had several incidences in the past couple of weeks of water rescues.
Great. And then
So yeah, so
sorry.
lifeguards, so lifeguards, when they are on, we always have a lifeguard in the tower that is scanning the beach. They cover 4 miles of beach, is what Cannon Beach is, roughly 4 miles. And so that tower guard will scan the beach continuously. We will have lifeguards patrolling both north and south of the tower to be able to scan and see where people are. They evaluate where the rip currents are. And if there is a rip current that begins to show itself somewhere on the beach, then yes, we will position a lifeguard in a side-by-side, in an ATV, in a vehicle, in a pickup truck, and they will sit on that or around that rip current. And if anybody gets into it, they will just call them out. We've had about 120 preventative contacts where our lifeguards have told somebody that they are in a very bad spot and that they need to move. Otherwise, they're going to be in danger. Just this year.
Wow. It sounded like you had a few other incidents yesterday. Anything notable?
On the beach, yes. We had the 6-person water rescue. Shortly thereafter that, we had a report of a person in the water waving their hand. That turned out to be nothing. Our jet skis conducted a thorough search. We did a search from land as well. We were unable to locate anything with that report. Just after that, we had a person get rolled over by a log in the surf, and that led to a potential fracture of a leg. And so that is one of the things we also want to keep people aware of, is if there is a log that is in the surf line, do not go anywhere near it. All it takes is a surge of water to hit that log, and that log, it got there somehow. It didn't just appear. It got there by the ocean, and so the ocean will take it back out as well. So don't let any person, any child, any animal play on any log that is within the surf line, because they are very dangerous. In addition, yesterday was extremely busy on our beach. Again, we did not have a lot of beach to patrol with, and so we had to position lifeguards throughout the beach for a majority of the day. And during that period of time, lifeguards made many contacts with people in the water. Unfortunately, I don't have a solid figure because they were so busy that they could not keep track of how many people they talked to or how many people they actually called out of the water, because it was beautiful weather. It was warm water. Normally our water temperature is low 50s, and it was closer to 60s. And so you get a sense of um, ease when the water isn't biting cold. So you can go out farther and you can stay out longer, and that becomes dangerous.
Lastly, could you just sort of re-summarize quickly, safety tips, especially now when the water seems warm and pleasant, but it's actually pretty hazardous?
Yeah, so if somebody was coming to Cannon Beach right this second, I would tell them to never turn your back to the ocean. We have unpredictable waves, unpredictable swell. Our beach has a lot of energy that is contained within its waves, and so that energy can travel further up the beach than you would normally expect. So don't play on any logs that are anywhere near the surf line. Don't allow your children to play in the water without you being within arm's reach of them. Pay attention to the tides. There's many applications for your phone. There's websites. Cannon Beach City posts up-to-date tide charts. Be aware of the tides and how they're going to affect your plan when you come to the beach. I think lastly, if you plan on going into the ocean, either you have a wetsuit, you have a U.S. Coast Guard approved life vest that is properly fitted for the person. And what I ask is that you don't go deeper than your thigh to waist, even if you have all of those. Once you break contact with the ground, once you break contact with the sand, you are at the mercy of the currents of the ocean. And if there is a rip current, it will begin to take you out.
All right. That's all I got for you.
Cool.
Thank you for your time, Jason. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good
All
day.
right. You too.
Bye.
Bye.